What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got some new Lorcana cards to talk about. I'll be honest with you, right? The cadence with which these Lorcana cards is releasing is way too slow for my liking. I want possible. But even though we don't have everything here, we've still got some new cards. We can still have a gander. I can still be very happy indeed. And I want to start off with a new card today. It's Tigger. Yay! And I'm quite an enthusiastic chap, so me and Tigger, we've always had a bit of a shared understanding. Now, firstly, this might be my favourite artwork of ever, but secondly, we've got an interesting card. We've got 6 cost, we've got stats of 4 and 4, we've got Storyborn Tigger, and we've got a keyword, evasive. And the eagle-eyed among you may notice, evasive is not a new keyword. We've actually seen this before. Now, I believe, and as always, I'm more than happy to be corrected about this, I believe we've actually seen this exactly one time before. We saw this on Mickey. Mickey Mouse, Tailor Mickey, or Brave Little Tailor Mickey. The first kind of promo card for the game that came around in the D23 Expo, that had evasive, and we knew what this is. Only characters with evasive can challenge this character. So, evasive for me, and again, we still don't know the rules of Lorcana, I cannot wait to find out. You have my word that the day we have the rules revealed, you will have a how to play Lorcana. It is going to be my top priority the second that happens. But for now, we can have a look at evasive and we can learn some things. Again, just because we don't know the rules of the game, doesn't mean we can't look at these new cards and learn some things. Because evasive could end up being broken. Now, we know that challenging is basically battling. And we know that, like from basically every card game, having a board full of lots of characters, good. Having a board with no characters and fewer choices, bad. So being able to keep your characters on the board is a good thing. So having a character like Tigger or Mickey that's got evasive and can basically hide and protect themselves, this is good. We like this. However, this is very important, having an evasive character can stop your opponent doing that. So if my opponent is trying to sit there and get, Mickey on the board and be like, ha ha ha, now I've got a character here that you can't take down, Tigger comes in and Tigger's like, hang on a second, Mickey, I got ya. Now, it is actually worth bearing in mind that, Mickey's a bit harder than Tigger. I think that's fair. Mickey's a 5-5 rather than a 4-4. Mickey's also more expensive, it is, but a bit of a weaker version. You'll also notice they're the same ink type. And this, again, is very, very interesting to me, because does that mean, and I think at the moment it does until we get, something else to tell us, does that mean that actually this kind of ink is going to be more likely to be evasive? I don't know is the honest answer, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have to wait and see. But I do think it's interesting to note that we've currently seen 2 characters that have this evasive keyword, and they've both had the same type of ink. Watch this space, this could get interesting. Because obviously, if one type of ink has loads of evasive characters, that is potentially going to make you able to make a deck full of evasive characters your opponent can't touch. And I'm already thinking deck building, even though we don't know what they all do. Now, also over on the official Twitter, they went and revealed Gantu. And Gantu is a character from Lilo and Stitch, I believe. And the artwork's pretty good. It's not Tigger good, but this is good, ladies and gentlemen. This is really, really good. Now, what we got here is a very big character, 8 cost, and we got a 6/6. It's a steel ink, and it's interesting to note, actually, that this is the same cost as Mickey, but it's more powerful while we're, comparing everything to Mickey. And then we've got Storyboard Alien Captain, Under Arrest, characters that cost 2 or less can't challenge your characters. And the wording here is very important. It doesn't say can't challenge this character, it says can't challenge your characters. So, one of the things I like doing in new card games is making a fast rush deck. Because the theory is very simple, right? You make a fast deck, your opponent's trying to play around with fancy combos, and by the time their fancy combos started working, you've already won the game, because you've got just hard-hitting, cheap characters. Well, this basically says if you're going for a low-cost rush deck, gutted, it's not going to work, because while this is on the board, any character that costs 2 or less can't challenge your characters. Now, this is a fairly expensive character in and of itself, but this also gives us an element of control that we've not really seen in a lot of other characters so far. This locks your opponent a little bit, and it's not a hard lock or anything like that. It's very much a soft lock. But the fact that you can basically stop 2-cost characters, or 1-cost, or 0, if we have C0, challenging your characters is frankly a very, very big deal. And it means that you are going to be able to completely slow down some decks. Completely. It is worth noting, if we look at like the first 6 promos that came out, only Captain Hook and Cruella de Vil actually fit this. We don't really know what costs look like in this game. We just don't have enough information. And that's the thing we need to remember when looking at these cards, even when we do have the rules and we know how this all plays. Because I look at this and I go, well, if we see a bunch of 2-cost characters and below, this is gonna be full on broken. But we might not. And that's honestly a problem, ladies and gentlemen. That is honestly a problem. Because it makes a huge difference. If we see loads of cheap characters, this becomes flat out phenomenal. If we don't, this becomes a nice tech. But this is one of those things to always bear in mind when you're building decks. This one can go away and come back. It also makes a great sideboard character. Now, for those of you that are newer to card games, not every card game has a sideboard. We have no idea if Lorcana will. But a sideboard is basically a bunch of cards that aren't in your deck that, in a best of 3, for instance, you can swap in between games. So you put Gantu in your side deck, and if your opponent's playing a more expensive deck, ignore it. But if you end up against a bunch of 2-cost or fewer characters, then all of a sudden, this gets put into your deck proper, and game 2 becomes a very different game. Something to look out for. Now, the last one we've got here is Tinkerbell Tiny Tactician. This was exclusively revealed by the lovely folks over at Games Radar, so shout out to Games Radar to doing a reveal of this one. Now, again, it's a steel character. It's a 3 cost. We've got a 2 and a 4. Dreamborn, Ally, Fairy. And we got the skill Battle Plans. You tap Tinkerbell, draw a card, then discard a card. And look, I've already told you that I feel very confident that the draw power in this game is not good. I feel very confident that this is a game where you're not going to be drawing many cards, and in that kind of context, this could be very good. I mean, I previously showed you Magic Mirror, a 2-cost card that seems to be tap, pay 4, draw a card. That is ridiculously expensive to draw a card. So if we compare Tinkerbell here, you are drawing a card, but you're not gaining a card advantage. You are cycling cards. You're drawing a card, then you're discarding a card. You are ending up at the end with the same amount of cards as you started with, but you are seeing more cards than you did before, which is obviously a bit of an advantage. So that's good in that regard. Go team. Now, generally speaking, tapping means you're not going to be attacking. You're not going to be, or challenging in the parlance of this game. You're not going to be challenging other characters. You are essentially going to be using this as a draw engine. But if the draw in this game ends up as low as we think it's going to, and again, it's early, we have imperfect information. But if the draw in this game ends up as low as we think it could, this is going to be a legit good card. A 3 cost lets you draw an extra card every single game. Yeah. I am in, ladies and gentlemen. I am absolutely in. So there we go. Those are the new cards. They're very interesting. We still have very imperfect information. At the moment, it's just looking at the cards, admiring the art, and then seeing what we can glean from the cards that we've seen. But make no mistake about it, these look interesting. And you'd like to think at this stage that they're showing off some of the more interesting cards. As always, we're going to have to wait and see. I, for one, can't wait. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think. I want to know your opinions on these cards. I want to know anything you want to tell me. I want to know, well, anything. So let me know in the comment section. Would you go nuts? Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Lorcana and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.